There is a good deal of chaos going on this evening as Netanyahu has notified the military to prepare for a direct attack from Hezbollah. Whether that will materialize or not, who knows? There was a very interesting uh, speech by an Israeli film director today who condemned the Israeli siege of Gaza unequivocally.
336th day of Israel's genocide in Gaza and 76th year of occupation. I believe it is our responsibility as film workers to use the institutional platforms through which we work to redress Israel's impunity on the global stage. I stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine in their struggle for liberation. I must note, I'm accepting this award on the 336th day of Israel's genocide in Gaza and 76th year of occupation. I believe it is our responsibility as film workers to use the institutional platforms through which we work to redress Israel's impunity on the global stage. I stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine in their struggle for liberation.
I think people need to I think people need to hear that sort of thing. There is there's not just one voice from Israel. There are a variety of voices, and there are many people on the street protesting against Netanyahu's actions and his obsession with attacking Hamas rather than rescuing the hostages. There's 101 hostages waiting to be rescued. Some of them may not be alive. But the priority should be the rescue of the hostages rather than the destruction of Hamas. There's also some very interesting documentation which was published in Germany suggesting that Hamas was contriving this event to discredit Israel internationally. Well, it succeeded in doing that, but I'm afraid Netanyahu has absolutely helped in that respect. As for Ukraine today, there's three interesting stories. Number one, the attacks on Russian fuel dumps in Belgorod and in Rostov. In Rostov, the fuel dumps had been stored underground to protect them from rogue drones, and now Russia, to save money, has been storing them above ground, and the whole lot have gone up. 100,000 tons of fuel burning near Rostov. And at the same time, the Tolyatti factory has been hit. That's a factory which has been making weapons. And that's the first point. The second point is the incursions into Romanian and Latvian airspace, which is worrying. Drones crashing. One drone is an accident. 2 drones is suspicious, but this is quite a number of drones. And it looks as if it's possible that the Russian military is trying to test the defense of these NATO countries to see what is the response, what resistance might there be should Russia send drones, if necessary, even sending drones through Belarus and trying to give the impression that Belarus is responsible. I don't know how Litvinenko would respond to that, or how his people would respond to being the henchman for the Kremlin. And finally get to the Lithuanian government, which has started to put up defences on the bridges and along the river against the Russian territory of Kaliningrad. Dragon's teeth placed along the bridge, and suggesting a ramping up of anxiety, if not serious concerns. The important thing, and Grant Shapps was interviewed this morning on the Times and was quite defiant that we should be doing something to help Ukraine. So if we've given Ukraine weapons, Ukraine should be able to use them. Defense, somebody has said, is not escalation. So various people in the comments section have said to me that the Kursk region invasion by Ukraine is an illegal action, is an illegal incursion. Actually, it's a defensive action in a war. The illegal incursion was the invasion of Crimea and the invasion of Ukraine by Putin's forces in 2014 and then in 2022. And everything else since then is a response to that. And I think it's important to get that into perspective and to recognize where the responsibility lies. And of course, there is every reason to encourage the US, NATO, and specific countries, particularly border countries, to talk with the Kremlin. So far, we are not at war. We should be talking. And we have things to talk about. We can't talk on behalf of Ukraine, but we can talk on behalf of ourselves about the increasing or the relaxing of sanctions, which are hurting. And we should be having these conversations. And it would be good if these conversations were happening in third countries outside Russia. I don't know which countries are volunteering to host these talks, but these talks should be taking place. And these talks should be taking place at the highest possible level. One of the reasons I don't approve of sanctions is because they stop this sort of conversation. But given the fact that we have sanctions, we actually have something to talk about. And we should do so with some speed and some anxiety, because in the end, the object is peace and the cessation of hostilities, rather than driving Russia to a point of no return. There is always a point at which Russia can back away from this aggression. And I don't believe, I lived in Russia for many years, I don't believe that the Russian people want this level of aggression. I don't believe that they are supporting this war, in the same way as I don't believe that the majority of Israelis support this war, or the war against Gaza. I simply don't believe it. Otherwise they would not be out on the streets. And if Russian society were freer, I can absolutely guarantee there would be people on the streets protesting against this war.